Good evening, members, and welcome to our IDS webinar. These series of webinars that I'm going to be doing this season are based upon a few interviews that I did with some of our members, some help sessions I offered, and they're about 30 minutes long. They are help sessions that involve some barriers, issues, problems that these offices are facing. They're facing them as office managers, they're facing them as staff, and we're working through those with some of the structures and some of the systems that we have. I think that you'll find these familiar, and I think that you'll find these helpful. If you have any questions, as always, you can email us at aaipshelton.com, and I hope to hear from you, and I hope you enjoy these videos. Thank you.
Prioritizing with time management. I feel like, most days I do really good, but there's days where I have a lot of different things, and just being able to prioritize and keep, because I'll have like a list of important things, but then there's other important things to do. And so it's just being able to get everything done within that time frame,
Right. So give me an example of how this happens. Is this something where you come into work and you have a mental agenda of what you're going to do and then the unexpected things happen, or do you just feel like you get distracted easily? What is it?
Both. It's both. I'll have my agenda, what I'm going to do. We'll get busy. I'll, have lots of emails, interruptions, and then just basic, you're having to just do your basic duties every day, but just trying to stay on track, I guess, and not get distracted and still be able to, because there's always interruptions, but, and I've tried to think of, and I have a couple battle plans for like, if I've started something and I absolutely can't finish it, because our thing is if you start something, finish it to the end.
Yeah.
And so I used to send myself peak notes. Well, then, I would leave them up on the screen and they would get deleted. And so it would never get done.
Right.
And so we quit doing that. And so then started sending myself emails. But then I found sometimes, when it gets really busy, if we have, a bunch of new patients and I'm treatment planning and scheduling, and then I got to go do sterile, I don't make it back to my computer till the very end of the day.
Right.
Got it. So I have a new battle plan, that you have to make time in your day to check the email, a few times a day, because I was doing really good in the morning. I'd get it at lunch, and by the end of the day, I'd have like 30 emails.
Right. So what is it? Are you surgical? Are you clinical?
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of things do you have as far as, what are some things that you have to do when you're reminding yourself? Is it making phone calls? Is it ordering? Is it stocking? What kind of things are these?
All of the above. So I put the order sheets together. I talk to the doctor about what she might want, or if she wants to try anything different, which we're pretty good at using the same stuff over and over. Checking stock, which I've definitely had a hat failure on that a couple times.
Yes.
But inventory, I try to do inventory like once a week just to go through and make sure that we have enough of everything.
Right.
But we're starting to get to the point now where I know I need to do it, at least I need to make time to do it a couple times a week, especially for biologicals and products.
Okay.
And so, and then, yeah, there's just I just want to make sure that I'm more efficient and that I can get everything done so that doctor doesn't have to worry about it.
Well, I can offer you a lot of things here. I can tell you everything that we do here, and you can probably implement every single one of them, because this is not, what I'm going to recommend isn't pick one. This is kind of like everything we do. Now, for me, I do the same thing that you do, except for I do the front desk as well. So I have done lead assisting. I have done sterilization. I still do clinical. I still answer the phones. I still do the front desk. I still do, a lot of things. So prioritizing is key to my job, because if I don't have in order the things that I need to do and very easy and effective reminders, so much can be left undone. Because don't forget, you also have things during the day that you're thinking about that doesn't apply to your job that's distracting to you, picking up the kids, dropping things off, calling something in. So, you have a lot of things going on. So the first thing is for myself, and for everybody here in the office, I recommend that everybody designs their own end of day and end of week check sheet for themselves, not for me, but for themselves. And it has to be things. Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it just has to be things that you know that you have to do every single day in order to prevent, big boo-boos. Same thing with the end of the week. Big things that you need to do at the end of the week so that you can go home during that weekend and not wake up on Saturday morning and go, oh my gosh, I forgot to, whatever it was. But also, yes. Go on.
So you have your daily checklist,
yes.
which is just your everyday.
Yes.
Yep, this was done, this was done, this was done, and then you have your top priority list.
Yes.
These have to be done before you leave.
Yes.
And then you have another one.
For the end of the week.
Has me working on, and by the end of the week, and Doctor has me working on right now. I'm almost finished with it, and for me to help be more efficient, because I'm cross-trained with front desk too, so I do take a lot of phone calls and help out.
Right.
So,
I've been here for 15 years. If I don't look at my end of the week check sheet, I really will feel like I have everything done. And I'll take a look at that check sheet and go, oh my gosh, I forgot to do whatever it was. So I do those, and I make sure, and they're for me. They're not for anybody else. They're for me, so I can make sure I remember those. The other important thing is being in clinical, you have things that you need to do every quarter, every 6 months, or every year that you need to do in order to prevent overload. So you either need to do inventory, you need to either update something, you need to either flush something. There's things that you need to do. So I have reminders, either your computer software system or your Google Calendar or whatever it is, or even if you have some sort of manual calendar file system that you pull, you have to have reminders quarterly, 6 months, and yearly that remind you to do these things. And all my girls here have that as well, where, every July we have to update our training manual. Every December we have to do a full inventory of the office. And they have their own stuff that they have to remember to do, because we have OSHA updates, HIPAA updates, all this stuff. And there's things that you're doing that you actually have to put on. I like Google Calendar because you can set a reminder. You can set a reminder.
I love Google Calendar.
a week before, an hour before, and you can do multiple ones. And for my big ones, I'll give myself a week notification, and then a 2 days before notification, and then a third one for that day, so that I can say, oh gosh, and next week I have to do that. Okay, oh gosh, in 3 days that's due. That has to be done by the end of the day today, so that you can actually have those reminders for those big projects that you can't do in one day. So the other thing that I think would be very helpful for you, and it sounds so basic, but I tease my girls all the time when they come to me with these same sort of difficulties, is I have a just regular old to-do list on a piece of paper. I have a binder, notebook, the things that cost $1 at the store. And every day I start out with my to-do list that has everything on there that I have to get done this day. And I also include things on there personally that I have to do, like drop something off at my kid's school or something on my lunch break, because if you don't put everything on that piece of paper, it's going to be stuck in your head and it's going to interfere with your thought process, because your body is actually programmed that you're afraid of forgetting it, so it's constantly coming up and it's interfering. So put it down on paper. So at the beginning of my day, I have things like call back Brian Bates because I have to talk to him about something else. I have to be sure to put that order in for those burrs because I have to have them for the surgery that I need in 3 days. I have to exchange all my stock of whatever abutments for this and this. Things I have to do that day is on my to-do list for the day. I kind of break that up. My top half is the day, and then I leave, a pretty big gap, and I have a section at the bottom that are bigger things that I have to have done by the end of the week, but they're just down there. It's just a few things, but I don't want to put it on my daily because I want to be sure I can mark everything off. So those things you can't mark off. Then,
right? Do you?
Go on.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say.
Do you? Sorry.
No.
We both
You go.
want to talk.
You go.
I was just saying, do you have like a set time, like where you try to get to things like morning things, like when you come in, you flush the lines, you got your little AM checklist that you do, and then you have like maybe your lunch checklist, which is just, like would be your daily checklist, but it's that that just needs to be done. And it's on your daily checklist,
Right.
but there's some things that, are easily overlooked because you get busy or, they're put off till the next day.
Right. Well, the things that I have on my to-do list is typically not things I'm going to have on my checklist that I've created for myself. It's just things going on. And so it's additional things. And I'm trying to think of what's on my list right now. I have to meet with a girl at the office here and talk to her about something. I have to record a few things that I needed for a lecture that I needed to do. I had to call you. That was on my list of things to do for today. I had on there that I needed to go through a file to find something that someone's been asking me for. I have a few things on there that pertains to today. Now, as my day goes, it's either in your pocket, folded up, or if you have a desk, it's on your desk. Now, for you, running around different departments all day long, it may be best if you fold it up and put it in your pocket, because when you're in the lab doing stuff, you can peek at it and go, oh, I have 5 minutes. I can run and do this real fast, and mark it off. And also, you're adding to that. If the doctor says, hey, I want this burr, and I want it tomorrow for the surgery, or I need that, or I need this, or I'm tired of seeing this, I need this cleaned by the end of the day, add it to your list. And then you can start, when you have time, knocking those things off. And then when you have a good break, like your lunch break, clean it up. Take off the stuff that you've done, make a whole new list, make it clean, and then start with that. So you are going to find that at the end of the day, you don't have time to get to some things. But when you're looking at it all during the day, you're getting the most important things done first, and you're leaving the rest to the next day. So at the end of my day, I'm writing a new to-do list for my next day, and it's sitting right there waiting for me. With the top stuff on there, what I didn't get done that day before, so it's number one for me on my list of things to do. Now, you have little ones. You have kids. I as well, get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I get up, I make my coffee, I set the table, and I clean up my to-do list, I answer my emails, and I get myself ahead by doing that. That way, when I get to work, I'm not hit like a brick wall with things that I need to get going for that day. I've already got my to-do list ready to go. I've already answered some of the emails that I could kind of clean up and get done. And most of my emails are, hey, can you do this? Or hey, can you do that? So I add it to my to-do list. It's not really, solving big problems, so those can wait till I get to work. But most of it is just seeing what I need to add to my list to make sure I don't forget things for the day.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I know that I've been trying to write things down on my check sheet because I like to keep it in central throughout the week because I'm in sterile and running back and forth to the box. So I'm constantly right there in central where I can see it.
Right.
But I think if I had an individual one that was just popping me out, I'm here, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, because your daily and your weekly checklist is never going to change. It's just what you have to do to complete your day. Your to-do list that you're doing is really just downloading things from your head to a piece of paper so that you don't have to worry about forgetting stuff. And I pull that thing out all day long. It's in my pocket. I pull it out. I write something on it. Oh gosh, don't forget to check this transaction. Oh gosh, don't forget to, do this progress note or whatever it is. And I put it back in my pocket. And then when I do have 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, I sit down and knock that thing out. And I just get all that I can done. And that's what's left on there is what goes to the next day or goes to my next break in the day that I happen to have. So it just kind of keeps you in line. It keeps you in line, and it also keeps you from worrying all day long that you're just never going to finish it and you're never going to remember everything because you're just being pulled in all these different directions.
I know. I like to tell doctor, I got it. I can remember.
Yep.
I'll have like 30 things in my head, and that's when you start trying to multitask, which we know nobody can really do.
Yes.
And you start everything, and then at the end of the day, maybe out of the 30, you've only actually finished maybe 10 of them.
Yes.
And then it just looks sloppy and messy. And so I've really been trying not to do that.
Yes, just stop. Take out
So,
your piece of paper, take out your pen, jot it down. And sometimes, you're in a hurry. You may have some stuff on the back of that paper, on the quarter fold of that paper. But when you sit down, you can clean it up. And sometimes cleaning it up and putting it all together neat is helpful because, one, you feel accomplished because you've knocked a lot off of that list. But also you feel clean because you were able to tidy it up and clean it up and make it look good again. And gosh, Michelle, I do that probably 6 times a day. I sit down and put it together, clean it up, new piece of paper, and that's my continued list. I mean, I bring my old stuff to the next day. And that morning when I'm sitting on a table with that cup of coffee and I'm putting it together, I know that, okay, today's going to be a good day. I'm going to get everything done because I'm already starting out before I walk in that door ready to go. I don't have to go, oh gosh, give me 5 seconds. I got to sit down and put my list together because you're already in work mode. When you get to your work, you're already starting to get to that mode of already overwhelmed and you haven't even started your first patient yet.
right. It's cool, especially when you come back, you're like, oh my gosh, I have like 30 some emails.
Yes.
Oh, it's the beginning of the week. I got to start all the maintenances
Yes.
over again. And which is all just, normal daily stuff, which, love to do.
Right.
But you're right. You have to make time for it,
Yes.
for everything.
Yeah. You just have to stop sometimes. Just stop sometimes. Now also, for the emails, I know a lot of people don't check they figured if they don't open the email, then, it'll be there and they can remember. But I get so many emails a day that my new emails actually get buried by the end of the day and I can't see them as new anymore because I get that many. So I have to hit that star on Gmail to star it on my important ones. And then I can just hit the starred category and they all pop up for me. That way I don't want to lose the important ones. And sometimes unread ones get so buried that, 2 weeks later I'm looking through going, oh my goodness, I didn't even see this email and it was something somebody sent me 2 weeks ago. So I always star them. That way the first thing I do when I sit down is I hit my starred category and I clean up those first before I go to my new email because if you keep just opening up the most recent ones, you're never going to finish it. You're never going to do it. So be sure that you put those into categories so you don't have that vicious cycle of opening up the most recent ones first and then you lose the rest.
Right, and that was a problem that I was doing. I was trying, I was just going straight down. And then the doctor's like, Michelle, she's like, didn't you see the email that was done? I'm like, no, I'm only on like my 10th email, my 5th email.
Right.
She's like, oh, that was, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so what I've been trying to do now is I try to go through and look for like, okay, are there any films? Those are the most important. Get those done. And so then I'm kind of bouncing around the email, but I think that using the little, because there's a whole bunch of little symbols you can use,
right,
little categories, and just, giving each one a category. That way you can, use which one first and then go down that list.
Right. Now, I like to keep all my old emails so I can refer back to them. But with that said, be sure that you delete all junk emails so it doesn't cluster up your email. And also be careful with the categories because you can lose stuff in categories. The only one I use is the starred in my inbox, and that's it. So if you have a lot of emails and you're opening some here and you're opening some there, so you have new ones and you have like 6 opened ones and then another new one and 8 new, open ones, another new one, you might want to go through, like keep going backwards to the latest email and open up those first before opening up your new ones. And that's where I was saying you got to be careful with opening up here and there because you will bury your new ones. So the first thing you should do is probably go through, look at the ones that are most important to open up, star them if you can't finish them or if you can't get to them, put them in a starred category. That way it's in somewhere important where after you answer all the ones that take 5 seconds, quick, go through, go back to your starred category. And those are your big ones that you need, more time into, but they're going to be there. They're not going to be lost somewhere in the email trend and you're not going to remember what it was or where it was and all of that. So just be sure that you dump them in a category where you can go back and say, okay, I'm all done answering all these emails. Now go back to my big project ones so I can work on these.
Right. No, I totally get that. And with our categories, it's a little, I think we use our categories a little bit different because after we're done with the email, we'll file them in that category. So we have like the star and the exclamation and the different colored little tabs or whatever you want to call them on Gmail. And then, I definitely delete, even after films, I'll upload it and then I'll, trash them just so they don't take up.
Right.
But if it's something important, like, how to handle a new membrane or something, I'll read it and then I'll save it in my DA form so I can go back to it and read it later.
Right. If you have
follow up.
Absolutely. If you have stuff that doesn't require you to get back to somebody, they're just like reference forms or informational forms. You can have a file that you can have that stuff in, so that you don't keep looking at it. So you can go, oh yeah, I don't need to respond back to that one. So you can have files like that. Most of my emails are things that I need to get back to somebody. And our rule here is we can't leave the end of the day without responding to somebody. So I may have to say to somebody, I'm on it, I will take care of it, but I can't take care of it that day, so I'll have to put it in my storage section because it's going to take me a few days to get it done, and then I can respond back to them and say, okay, it's done, I've handled it. But I don't want it to get lost in my category of stuff that's just information or just FYI or, something like that. So for you, you may have to have your starred, which is your important. You got to get to it. You got to answer these people. Your literature, just whenever you can, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll definitely start implementing that because that's a good idea.
Okay, good.
And then even if I get interrupted and go to a new patient or something, I can just come back and know right where I left off and not have to go through the everything file or go, or even go to the, market and you haven't touched it and then, start over.
Okay, that sounds good. Yes, that'll be helpful to you. And do you have a lot of loose paper work, or is most of it email stuff?
We're trying to be mostly digital.
Okay. So you don't have notes from other people that you have laying around? You don't have things that kind of pile up on your desk or?
I don't have a desk.
Okay.
So doctor's like, she's like, you need a desk to put stuff, because I'm always telling her, I'm like, I write stuff down and then it's gone. It gets moved. And she's like, you're right. She's like, you need a place to put stuff. And so I have an inbox folder. And so like if there's like an order that came in that I need to go over the invoice to, make sure everything came so I can put it in doctor's box. And then, or if there's medical consults that I'm working on, I'll put those in my inbox, and when I start them, I'll put them in the pending box. And so I do have an inbox that we use. So we do have some paper stuff that we do.
Okay, good.
But if it's like,
you do have an inbox and a pending box, which is good, because you don't want to have the stuff that you've started in your inbox. It's so confusing. So it is helpful.
I agree.
Okay, good.
It makes me drive doctor nuts because sometimes I'll have like 3 or 4 things in my pending box. She's like, it's supposed to be empty. I'm like, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, the pending box is not supposed to be empty. Your inbox is supposed to be empty. So your inbox you should be going through all day long, and you should be able to put it either in your pending box or your outbox. Now, for us, sometimes your outbox is in somebody else's box, so it's not in your outbox. But for other people, like myself, I don't want to have to get up and go all the way to the communication center to give somebody mail if I'm sitting there going through my paperwork. So I have an outbox. So as I'm saying, okay, I got it, it's done, I will put it in my outbox. And then when I get up to go do something, I'll take all that with me and distribute it to whomever I need to give it to. But your pending should be emptied, by the end of the day, and I'm sorry, by the end of the week, because that's what you have to finish. You can't just sit there. I have to get on my girls sometimes because their stuff in their pending will sit there for months, and I'll say that's not really pending. It's either you can do it or you can't. You can't just have things just sitting here, because then it starts camouflaging into your box and you don't even think it's anything. You've got to get through it. So for some girls, they have 2 files in their pending. One is a pending that they can get to by the end of the day or end of the week, and one are larger projects, like if they're working on a whole new implant inventory. Well, that stuff is in a file that's like, it could be done in a week, a month, 6 months, I don't know, but it's separated, because the biggest problem that you have is when everything's thrown together, you spend so much time sorting through it again and again and again to determine, okay, I can do it. Oh, no, I can't do it. Oh, yeah, I can do it today.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, So much
well,
time.
that's the thing that we've really been working on is, just eliminating deaf teeth.
Right.
And so I think that, it really helps. Like with medical consults, I was, I always scan them in, but I was keeping them in my pending box because we have some amazing MDs up here that don't like to get back to us, or they send stuff back that's not signed. And so or you have patients who are like, okay, this is all signed, but then they, a month will go by, 2 months will go by, and I'm like, okay, well, I still have a signed medical consult, but you haven't moved forward with anything. And so doctor and I agreed that, at 30 days, they'll automatically be filed if they haven't started anything.
That's good. That's a good idea. Good.
And so that way, because I had like 5 or 6 of them in there, and then the other thing that, will always sit in my box until it gets returned is, like, if we send off for repairs, I keep those in my my pending box until they come back, because we've had a hand piece that was missing. We've had when we sharpened our surgical cassettes, we're like, wow, that's really taking them a long time. It was like 4 weeks, and like, it would take 2 weeks.
Right.
And so I don't turn any of that in until it comes back and it's in doctor's hands.
I wouldn't do it either. And those are things that legitimately should be in that box, because you got to keep an eye on it. You got to keep an eye on it. If it's something that's taking longer than that, then it goes in your Google Calendar for a 3-month reminder, a 6-month reminder, something like that. But those things, you do want to keep an eye on it, because it could come back in a few days or a few weeks, but you don't want to lose sight of that.
Yeah, no, I think those are all good ideas. I think if I can just get those all in place and start implementing them, I think I could be a lot more efficient and actually get everything completed.
Good. Perfect.
Because that was one thing Dr. Drake and I had been talking about was, she's like, if you need time, just ask for admin time. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I just need to step up and ask for it. But I'm always like, no, I can get it done.
Yeah, we all want to. You do have to sometimes ask for help and recruit help. If you can do it yourself, great. And then, and good job for you for trying. But sometimes in order to prevent errors and not drive yourself crazy, you do have to ask for some help.
We hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please email us. The IDS is here to help every dental specialty practice do better. I'm Dr. Lee Sheldon. See you on the next video.